So what's going on, guys? It is JM, it is speakboxing. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel before you click onto any of these videos. Also comment below in the comment section if you guys have any opinions on what I'm saying in any of these videos. Like always, is appreciated if you guys could drop me a quick sub or two on my channel. So the rumour around at the moment is that Chris Eubank Jr. could be set to replace George Groves in the final of the World Boxing Super Series and face Callum Smith in the final of the tournament. And this is a rumour right now. It hasn't been confirmed or anything like this. A few credible sources online, people who don't usually get things like this wrong, they're the ones who are coming out with this rumour on Twitter and other social media sites and stuff like that. And apparently the World Boxing Super Series are going to announce their next two weight classes for the next tournament, and that could be announced during that, you know what I mean? So if Chris Eubank Jr. replaces George Groves, then it's just a farce at the end of the day, in my opinion. It's just a farce. And to be honest, I'm not really surprised by it, because George Groves got injured. Obviously, at the end of the Chris Eubank Jr. fight, he dislocated his shoulder, and it was a bad injury in that final round of that fight, you know what I mean? George Groves was fighting with one arm, and after the fight, his arm was clearly in a bad way, you know what I mean? His shoulder was clearly in a bad way, and he was took to hospital. And he was told that obviously he'd be injured for a while, for a couple of months before he could start training again. And obviously the thing with the World Boxing Super Series is that they like to get fights done quick, you know what I mean? We'll try to get the tournament done in a 9-10 month period, but obviously injuries happen in boxing. And a lot of people are saying it's ridiculous that George Groves isn't getting a chance to be in the final because he's beat two good fighters in Jamie Cox and Chris Eubank Jr., two good performances. He's the only world champion in the super middleweight tournament, you know what I mean? So it's ridiculous. Chris Eubank Jr. and Callum Smith would be fighting for no world title or anything like that. And apparently it's because the World Boxing Super Series, the people who are in charge of it, they don't want to reschedule. They've got a lot of money invested into this tournament, and they've got set dates, and they don't want to mess about changing it and losing money or anything like that. So at the end of the day, if George Groves doesn't end up in this tournament final, then it just takes the shine off it, in my opinion, because he's the guy who has beat two good fighters. So is Callum Smith. So they should meet in the final, you know what I mean? And if it's on a later date, so be it. But Chris Eubank Jr., he lost, and not only did he lose to George Groves, he lost well. He got beaten in that fight convincingly. Like, he was beaten 10 rounds to 2, in my opinion, by George Groves. George Groves won nearly every round of that fight. It's not like it was a close decision where it could have went either way or anything like that. No, Chris Eubank Jr. bottled it in that fight against George Groves. Couldn't do anything. His lack of boxing fundamentals got exposed, and he was beaten by George Groves. George Groves was the better fighter. So it would be a bit of a slap in the face to the fans, in my opinion, if Chris Eubank Jr. got to the final to fight Callum Smith. And you know what? Chris Eubank Jr., he'd probably have an easier fight with Callum Smith than somebody like a George Groves, and that's a very winnable fight for Chris Eubank Jr. So if Chris Eubank Jr. went in there and beat Callum Smith and won the tournament, then talk about landing on your feet for Chris Eubank Jr. But you know what I mean? I think George Groves deserves a chance. I think he should get the opportunity. Apparently, he said not long ago that he'll be ready to train again soon to get back into shape for the fight, for the final against Callum Smith. I think the World Boxing Super Series should give him the benefit of the doubt and let him fight in this final, because he's the person with the world title. He's the #1 seed. He's the one who's beat two top guys in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. So, you know what I mean? It'd be a farce if Chris Eubank Jr. got in, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't really be surprising, because the World Boxing Super Series people are very, very picky when it comes to their dates and stuff like that. So yeah, comment below in the comment section. It's JM, it's speakboxing.